So let's start with you. This is so good.
And with that in mind, I want to actually mention, and if we get her over, folks on this panel is so cool in the sky. Have the coalition is to really, and how do we continue so far in Colorado? Obviously, a lot more to the state. We're going to want to on growing the pools of talent, and so sorry, it's hard to see from over here. So these are the companies that have come together to do that. Like I said, we have a selection of them here, as well as the Denver Downtown Association. We're gonna think about continue to grow. I'm gonna give a quick everybody to go and up and get as the movement. So with that, just leave that slide and some introduction. So you guys want to get introduction a little bit on,
I'm Allison, officer. Aren't familiar with who we are. We're really revitalized and changed up. We're in the digital health space. Just prior to this, and how critical talent 2 years and accompanied a lot of inroads, talent acquisition in your hands. And used a lot of agencies, talent acquisition team, folk and in the local community. So we in Colorado, technology and leadership with whom we compete at. It's most sure that we continue to bring in the technology.
All a coalition at SendGrid, and SendGrid is a cloud communications platform that actual email as well as email marketing solutions to customers around the world. In terms of employee base, is Ibotta, 25 of them here in Denver, and one of our biggest challenges is finding high quality software engineers that can continually feed and build new Scrum teams inside of our organization so we can innovate more quickly. And that was really the impetus behind bringing this group together. And it's very exciting as we embark on actually executing our first campaign.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Copeland. I run the Office of Economic Development for the state of Colorado. Previously was a president at the Zayo Group and experienced a ton of pain as we were growing from kind of a couple hundred people to close to 2,000 in recruiting both software engineers as well as product developers and product managers. And the acute lack or the acute void of talent was a real constraint for the organization. And leading economic development, I was really happy what Scott's been doing in bringing this community together, and so proud of how people have just come together to really solve the problem as a group versus competing with each other. to bring more talent into the state and to make sure our businesses aren't constrained. I mean, the last thing you need when you're trying so hard to capture market share and drive your top line is worrying about where you're gonna feed the resources to continue to support that growth. So really passionate about this and passionate about serving the ecosystem of growth companies in the state to make sure we are kind of set up multi-generationally to grow.
Hello. Mine's loud. I'm Andy Burnett. I'm the Vice President of People and Business Operations at a company called Xero. Unlike my colleagues here, we're not Colorado born and raised as a company, but we've chosen to make Colorado our home now, specifically Denver. And a bit of context about Xero and why we're involved in the coalition. Many of you won't know who we are right now, but Xero, we have 1 million customers globally. We provide an accounting platform that enables small businesses to connect their advisors, the productivity tools to run their business, and their banks and financial institutions to enable entrepreneurs and small businesses to have one single place for their financial information. This gives them more time to get into doing what they got into business for. And that in itself enables their businesses to thrive. Thriving small business economy contributes 2/3 of the jobs in the US. So we're really passionate about building this thriving small business. And we've chosen to make Denver America's home. And as such, we're going to be growing pretty quickly. And we want to be additive to the talent here. We don't want to just draw down. One of the reasons we came here was the availability of great talent, and the team that we already had here was just fantastic. The culture, the passion, we're getting involved, the availability of the talent in the region.
So you guys all market for talent out of state today. That's part of your recruiting strategies. I'd be curious to know, and Kate, why don't we start with you? What do you feel is the bit that Denver's, as you go?
I think it's 325 days of sunshine a year. I know that number's tossed around a lot. So what we have found at Health Grades, and we have recently brought in folks, and what we found is definitely looking for a location that ties in all the best things in life. And our outdoor culture, our focus on fitness, but also the kind of the bootstrap Western startup community is something that's actually very, very attractive. It is a very collaborative personality. It's a friendly personality. I raised my kids here, sent my daughter to New York City for college, and she was living and going to school, and classmates were shocked by the fact that she would say hello to strangers on the streets of New York City. That's just kind of how we operate here in Denver. So I will oftentimes describe like the good, friendly qualities of the Midwest, but with mountains and a lot better weather.
Awesome. Anybody else want to add on to that?
You know what Kate just described. One of the most attractive elements of actually acquiring and getting technology talent, to want to come to Denver from someplace like San Francisco, is the emerging technology businesses that are happening here, right? It's the ecosystem and the hub that's being developed here that's continuing to grow. It means that they'll find a place where they can do innovative, differentiated, unique work that they're personally connected to, and also that there's an ecosystem of like-minded developers and engineers here in town that they can network with, and other jobs that they can go to over time and find a long-term career here in Denver. I think that's one of the most compelling reasons that we found to get somebody to actually make that switch and move here.
Cool. Allison, so as you think of aspects that they're talking about on a broad level, who we are as a personality, is focus on that from a cultural standpoint within the company and use that. And what are the key levers that you think culturally inside Ibotta you guys use to attract talent?
Yeah, I think for us, one of our values is a good idea can come from anywhere. And I think that speaks to the innovation that we were founded on and the innovation that we continue to thrive on. So when we talk to candidates, they want to solve challenging problems these days. So it helps to work around really smart people, but it also helps to have really challenging problems to solve, whether you're in engineering, marketing, client success, etc. So we really focus on that when we talk about how we collaboratively work, how we also have a fierce desire to win, and that they can take those talents and apply them at Ibotta and help us really be innovative and continue to be a thought leader in our space.
Great.
You know, something I'd add to that is just the evidence of this group and the others that have been involved in this coalition is an evidence of what Colorado, and I want to say beyond Denver, but what really Colorado brings is this collaborative nature. I mean, the fact that Scott can say, hey, I see a problem, I'm going to go fix it, and can get a group of people together to both devote their time and their money in recruiting and solving a problem for all, I think is really unique to Colorado. And frankly speaking, most of the software engineers, the product developers, those people that want to build solutions also want to build community and be in a place where you can do that. And I hope we don't lose that as we grow, but it's something that is really, really unique and valuable to us, and we should be talking about it more, that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, let's go do this. And all of a sudden you've got a lot of people behind you saying, yeah, let's go do this, and getting it done. I don't think this would have happened in the Bay if you had raised your hand. I don't think it would have happened in a lot of the really dense technology community. So this is evidence of it, and I think we should be speaking about that more, especially as we're recruiting from out of state and to other cities.
Excellent. So Andy, you just moved here recently.
I did, January.
January.
In a
Okay, so
snowstorm.
just like you said, these folks have all born and raised these companies here in Colorado, and you have come here. How has that panned out? What are some of the challenges that maybe you're seeing as you enter the market and build out?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So I arrived on January 5th, as I said. About a year ago, maybe 14 months ago, I was sitting in Auckland, New Zealand. That's a long way from here, for those of you who don't know where that is. I was sitting in Auckland, New Zealand, and I was working on a project about what is next for our America's business. How fast are we going to try and grow it? How much investment do we put into it? And are we based in the right place? So we have a thriving, fantastic location in San Francisco with around 130, 140 great software developers and team members, and we're going to keep that location. We want to make sure we've got access to that talent market. But it became really clear from the work we did, there were some other places across the US where we really should think about focusing our growth in people and focusing our growth in the community. Looking at all the normal ones, Austin, New York, etc. We started to land on Denver, and then we started talking to our team that was here, and we only thought we would only have an inside sales and customer support team. It was a great low-cost base for us. We had a building in the tech center. We thought that it worked really well, and as soon as we started engaging with our teams, we realized not only was Denver one of the most exciting kind of places for growth right now, and the investment going into infrastructure, the investment going into kind of the economy, we also realized the DNA, the people that we had available to us, and how people wanted to move here made it a no-brainer decision. So within maybe 3 weeks of making that decision, we kind of publicly said we're going to be moving our America's headquarters to Denver. And on Friday, we actually signed a lease downtown of a large building on Platt Street, when we will be relocating our headquarters to Denver in July next year and growing out from there. So we won't be moving any of our staff from San Francisco. We'll be hiring here in Denver from the people who are available. So we're really pleased to be part of it.
Wonderful. So you guys have all talked about recruiting and talent and a broad stroke. I'd be curious if we could take it a little bit deeper and get a better understanding. Are there specific areas, specific functions where you see this challenge, or I should even say opportunity, right? So we have a lot of folks out here. We want to activate these folks as we think about when they leave here today to go tell somebody, hey, there's this coalition and they're trying to do X. What's the specific function that you guys think is most in demand, that's the biggest lever for growth? And I'll go back to Kate.
Software engineers.
Ditto.
I'll be more specific, mobile engineers and
Mobile
data
engineers.
engineers. Yeah. And for us, it's data
Great.
scientists too. So we need smart people who can help us with machine learning and a lot of the great things we're doing around the analytics. So I'll tack onto the engineers.
I would agree with that. And I think that what that all relates to, and Allison mentioned this before, just in terms of why our companies and why Denver, it's kind of like why any company. We know that people go to companies because they want to build cool stuff and solve hard problems. And health grades for us, we've been a disruptor in this digital health space for quite some time. And one of our values is changing the game. And that's fun and it's exciting in IT, but also understand data science and basically how to use data to solve those problems.
Awesome. So I'm going to throw this one to Stephanie and Scott. So as we form the coalition, one of the big debates is Colorado has a very strong brand out in the universe, but that brand is very much anchored in rivers and pretty places and skiing and breweries and awesome lifestyle. And you guys touched on lifestyle as a big draw. So when we think about the Office of Economic Development and when we think about what we're trying to accomplish here, can you help explain to folks, the juxtaposition of the state and the tourism aspect of it versus what this coalition is trying to drive and the key differentiators there?
Well, I'll let Stephanie comment on the Office of Tourism and the whole initiative there. I think this is intended to be a very targeted campaign strategy, right? It's intended to go out into the Bay Area in our first sort of phase and attract software engineers that are interested in opportunities with these great companies and the other members of the coalition and actually move to Colorado. And I think to effectively do that, it's not about mountains and skiing and craft brews. It's more about the technology ecosystem that's developing here of lots of startups. I mean, there's 15,000 people here for this event, right? It's the biggest startup event in the world. This location of Denver and the tech corridor between here and Boulder and even some places outside of Denver, it is the fastest growing technology system in the world right now. And we have an opportunity, I think, to really position ourselves as that in the minds of engineers and in California and other places, and get them to realize that the same level of energy and connective tissue between other companies and job opportunities and innovative technology is being built here in Denver. That's the objective of this campaign, which I think is quite a bit different than the broader tourism campaign from Colorado.
So it's funny, when Scott and I were first talking about this, one thing that really was this double-edged sword was that Colorado has a reputation for being this great place to be an outdoor tourist, to go skiing, to go hiking, to go fishing. And we promote ourselves that way as a voice to the rest of the country around, come visit us, come see this. And that voice defined the brand of Colorado was very much a leisure orientation, which can swim upstream of the fact you're trying to show and illuminate the fact that you're not just that. And so the thing that has been as a big of a challenge to us as a blessing for us is that people want to be here. We also want them to see this as a place where serious work is done and they can build. And so layering in, not ignoring the fact that we've got this unbelievable scenery behind us and we've got this unbelievable access to attractions that are kind of world-renowned, is that you can have that and this too. So it's not a fighting, hey, we're not that. We've got to incorporate that and acknowledge, and that's something that we treasure. But we are also this gem of a workforce culture and a technology culture that blends that beautifully. And that's really where I think the coalition's work is doing a great job in saying, hey, as we target these communities to say, come live here, the reason why is because you can have it all. Because you can have both deep cultural experience as well as a fantastic technology community and peer group to work within and build.
I'm just going to jump in, even though you didn't ask me to.
Pile on.
I think Scott mentioned it earlier. It's not just about the job that we're trying to get them to move here for, but I think we can create a flywheel. If we increase the abundance of fantastic talent, then we increase new companies or existing companies going, hang on, we can hire that role in Denver, which creates career paths. So you come here for one role and you can do a fantastic job in it. We can create this flywheel of opportunities, which then make us an exceedingly attractive place to be and starts to ensure that there's enough talent for everyone. And then there's all the talent roles that go alongside with getting a great software developer kind of flywheel going. The executive roles, the head office roles, roles, the product marketing roles, and then itself can take on a life of its own.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask one more question, and then we'll move out to the audience for some questions from them. So you guys have talked about great culture. You've talked about great lifestyle. You've talked about great opportunity. So you kind of have all these things stacking up in the positive column. And then we think about, yet here we are coming together as a coalition to try to go attack a challenge for future growth. I'm curious to get your point of view on what do you think some potential hurdles might be as we go out and try to tackle this?
So I'm thinking about a couple of the new hires came from the Bay Area, and one was actually an employee referral. And I think that that's actually a positive, that people who live in Denver generally like living in Denver, and I can compare that with living in Cleveland, which is where I grew up, and it's just not the same. So I think that, you know, employees as ambassadors, and really all of you really as ambassadors, I think that's a plus. The other situation, a little bit higher level person who actually made the decision to move his family to Denver, and it actually came down to cost of living in the Bay Area. And I know we are seeing ratcheting increases in housing in Denver. It just is not even close to the Bay Area. So I think that's, you know, that is something for us to hopefully continue to expand on, so we still have that differential, that we are a less expensive place to live. The only thing we don't have is an ocean. I honestly don't know what to do about that.
Can I say one thing on this? The challenges that are going to be ahead of us are it's just the outcomes of our success. We're going to continue to grow. I mean, we're recruiting all the time new businesses, and we're trying to stimulate an unbelievable. So I think that three things that the way we get talent are: one, you recruit them from other places, which this coalition is kind of head on.
For me, higher ed,
There's
Convince them that Denver is very attractive.
Is that like bringing the raw team to people?
especially on it's all about the team. Focus on it.
I'm careful.
Best, and so we've actually moved out scrappiness in our it's kind of the old fashioned rolling up your
Able to be
Great
around, goes like 116 and 1 relative competitive, highly.
There is a cost differential. You know, it's part of the acquisition balance between those two things.
Do you feel like you lose things like that? What are you to just?
So of the talent acquisition team, folks internally, and externally, and actually built off of Salesforce. We look at talent acquisition as more creating that talent network and that talent community, and continue to have
Cool. That could
the back over there.
Or do you have any plans in the governments to provide any type of incentives for people to move, whether it's
To incent individuals to move would be